I think what the world calls love is basically dependency. Whether you talk about parents and children, whether you're talking about employer-employee, lovers, spouses. I think basically it's what exists so that I could have my needs met. And when you meet my needs, I love you. Now, I'm not saying that's all it is or that's what it should be, but certainly as the world looks at it, personal needs.
What the world calls love is basically dependency. What a remarkable statement by Dr. Kenneth Wapnick. Hi, I'm Rick Bayshard. The following documentary is the result of my lifelong goal to better understand human relationships and the concept of love. If the love that the world is familiar with is really about satisfying our ego needs, then this does explain why so many relationships remain unfulfilled. Until we as individuals begin to work on our own inner conflicts, then what the world calls love will continue to be basically dependency. The following discussions regarding love and human relationships, as they correspond to passion, marriage, sex, psychology, and spirituality, will show in many ways why the human relationship is tinged with seeming joy and seeming conflict. But even further, these discussions will provide us an impetus to re-examine the human relationship and the concept of love. So let us begin, and perhaps the next 50 minutes will provide you deeper insight into your love journey.
Defining love and understanding why human relationships are conflicted is not easy. Most understand this difficulty, but regardless of this knowledge, many people pursue relationships with a vengeance. It's like wanting a car knowing full well there's a problem with the transmission. In Elizabethtown, New York, Professor of Theology and Philosophy, Monsignor Peter Riani, describes in his view what a healthy relationship might look like.
But a characteristic of a real healthy relationship would be unselfishness. I think it's the best thing that parents can teach their kids. And it's one of the most difficult things to teach children because we're born selfish. Any love relationship is good, is holy, it's whole. There is a wholeness there. It is one thing, it's a unity coming together, and it's beautiful. Now, these are ideals, understand. I mean, human love is flawed. That's what the Bible tries to tell us with the story of original sin. We've messed it up, so to speak, and so it has to be repaired. It has to be set right, and that's the whole purpose of Jesus Christ.
Monsignor Riani's Catholic perspective is familiar. Theologies and spiritual texts throughout the ages have grappled with the issue of love and what determines a healthy relationship. But there is one such text, titled A Course in Miracles, that provides a unique viewpoint regarding love and human associations. Written down during the late 1960s by the joining of two professors from Columbia University's School of Medical Psychology, this text puts forth spiritual and psychological principles that help the reader to understand that love is within the mind. Psychotherapist Dr. Kenneth Wapnick, who is co-founder of the Foundation for A Course in Miracles and principal teacher for the Institute for Teaching Inner Peace through A Course in Miracles, discusses the Course's perspective on a healthy relationship.
I think a healthy relationship is one which at least one to two people, it doesn't require both, but at least one to two people is committed to being in a relationship without need. That doesn't mean you do it perfectly, but that you have that recognition that I really want to be with this person, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a lover, whether it's a friend, whether it's a parent, whether it's a child, whether it's a colleague, that I really want to be with this person without projecting my own stuff onto that person, without my own neediness getting in the way. At the extent that I have that as a goal, to that extent I'll have a healthy relationship. And again, it doesn't require that the other person be a part of it, because again, if a person is already deceased, that doesn't mean that the relationship is ended. So that I think it requires a lot of work and commitment, and ultimately commitment to one's own self-healing.
Human selfishness and neediness are forces within us that must be looked at if our relationships are to become healthy. Yet, are feelings of passion and sexual attraction a sign of love, or should they be considered human neediness? How should individuals respond to such emotions? With her master's degree in sexology from the University of Quebec in Montreal and in private practice since 1996, comments by Mylène Dastout add another angle to this dialogue.
Passion, or that initial instant attraction that we feel, that very strong kind of pull towards the other, can also be experienced as a high. That is something that we don't fully comprehend, but it seems to have biological and psychological components to it. Now, when it comes to whether this is love, I think that's a good question. I believe that it's more being in lust than in love.
Hey, no, it's not love itself. Those experiences are wonderful, but they are not what love is. Love is a daily thing. It's an ongoing process that involves sacrifice. It has to. It has to.
Well, whether you should enjoy it, I think it would be silly not to enjoy it, but don't have the illusion that is what you think it is. And if you don't have the illusion, then you won't be disappointed afterwards. You can't be disillusioned if you first didn't have illusions. So I think it's the illusion of love which hurts so much afterwards. I think that when you find someone that you're in love with, and there's that kind of a preliminary feeling of bliss and ecstasy, I think you should enjoy it. I think you should always kind of minimize any kind of hurt or damage you do to yourself or others. But if there's no damage or hurt being done, enjoy yourselves. But don't think it's going to last in form, and don't think it is what you think it is. That's what I would say. Is live a normal human life, but try to do so with open eyes, so that you're not blinded afterwards, or that you're not blindsided afterwards, when the bottom falls out.
You ever get that passion, run, man. No, I'm just saying. For me, it's very scary, because you get that, it's the moment. That's where you live your moment, but it won't be for life. I doubt it, because the passion is like the butterfly, it's right on the moment. You'll never know when it'll go away. You'll never know, it's like a butterfly. That's why we call it butterfly. It will stand on your hand. You'll never know when it'll run.
Viewing passion and physical attraction to someone as really more of being in lust than in love suggests that how we feel physically and emotionally is in a separate category from what love is. Regardless of this conclusion, humans often believe that feelings of passion and physical attraction are indications of love's presence and not something biological.
Well, I think feelings lie. I mean, that's a kind of a bad thing for a psychologist to say. That doesn't mean feelings are not valid. People have feelings, but the feelings change, and they're so variable. And I think that it's the variability in feelings which really shows that they're not really authentic, in the sense that they're not constant. Real love, if it's real love, where there's a real kind of a connection between people that transcends needs, that doesn't change. If one thinks of God's love, again, whatever concept one has of God, that's a love that doesn't change. But love in this world changes. And feelings, I think, are the hallmark of that. So that I think, in one sense, feelings have to be respected, but they shouldn't be trusted, because they're not what they seem.
Respecting feelings while at the same time not trusting them is a challenge. A reasonable observation of relationships across the world would hint that individuals believe in their feelings. The number of marriages that occur each year would be representative of that, for who would get married unless they were certain love was present? Yet, if so many marriages end up in divorce, would not this be evidence that feelings can mislead us? Why do relationships that seemingly start out so wonderful end up being conflicted?
Well, one of the main reasons, I think, well, if not the reason, is because we change. We are not finished products. We change. So, for instance, in a marriage relationship, I have no direct experience of this, but a lot of indirect experience, shall I say, over the past 53 years of being a priest, that sometimes a couple will be very powerfully united at the beginning of a marriage, and then things kind of get into sort of a routine, and even one person can begin a process of change which is not in sync with the other person's process of change. And all of a sudden, one might say to him or herself, who is this person I'm married to?
When couples encounter problems in a relationship, the natural instinct is to want the other to change. It's just to want to control the other. However, the best way to get through problems is to look at oneself. For each person in the relationship to look at how they're contributing to the problem. But in order to do so, they need to be willing to confront themselves, to look at themselves, to look at their past. What baggage am I bringing into this relationship? And not everyone is ready to do so. It can be painful, it can be stressful to do so, but it's so rewarding when someone takes the time and energy, either through different means, going to psychotherapy or going to couples therapy or using spiritual means, things like that. It can make a relationship so much more enriching, because then you can really show who you really are, and so the depth of intimacy can be greater. And you know yourself, so you know what baggage might be causing or contributing to certain issues in your relationship, and therefore you're more empowered to change things, right? to act. Whereas if you're sitting there waiting for the other to change, you're pretty powerless, and it's a very frustrating position.
There's a lot of things, in my opinion, that make relationships complicated. For one is the responsibility of just having to let that person know, the things that you're doing, and let them know how you're feeling. And I'm not one for really explaining my feelings very much, so that's always been a problem for me. But I guess the things that get on my nerves the most about women is the clinginess. Like I can't, I don't like being checked up on a lot. Like, I like having my own life, and I would prefer that they had their own also.
Because I think what tends to happen is people get bored and then they seek elsewhere. Either they may stay married, or they'll just have multiple affairs, or they'll have affairs with various addictions, substances, drugs, alcohol, food, or work. And because the high has been taken out of their relationship with their primary or significant person, so they just seek for it elsewhere. I think what one should do about that is be aware, sometimes even ahead of time, that this is inevitable, and it's inevitable because what I really want is I want to feel whole within myself. That doesn't mean I can't enjoy a good meal, or enjoy sex, or enjoy a nice car, or enjoy a relationship. But it does mean that it's not what I think it is. That no matter what we speak about, it will always come back to bringing it within. That it's the peace of God within me that I want. Because without that, nothing will ever work. Nothing will ever really satisfy me in my life. And I'll just flit from one thing to another to another.
Because we do not feel whole within ourselves, nothing will ever work. Nothing will ever satisfy us. we will continue to flip from one thing or one person to another, which is demonstrated by the breakdown of so many marriages. Yet, in spite of the high divorce rate, the institute of marriage is still considered by many as holy, as well as a fundamental fabric of society. Like the symbol of the heart, marriage in our society is equated with love. Even the early Frank Sinatra song, Love and Marriage, reminds us that you can't have one without the other. Yet, can you? From a legal perspective, marriage can serve to give someone citizenship, allow for better tax returns, and provide the official framework to raise a family. The grounds for such legal marriage make sense. Yet, it is the marriage blessed by a particular religion which for some determines a relationship's legitimacy. But is this an accurate view? Would a relationship by an unmarried couple be any less or different than one that is sanctioned by the church? Do people need to be religiously or legally married to experience real love?
No, definitely not.
Talk to me, elaborate on that for me.
Well, for example, I just read in the newspaper like a month ago about Quebec having the largest percentage of couples who aren't married, and they seem to be getting along just fine. I know a couple of people who have been together for more than 4 years now, and they're as happy as ever, and they're not married. So I don't see, really, to me, marriage is just paperwork. So, and a ring.
I think of marriage as a financial and that kind of benefit, but it's kind of like a tradition to me. It's not necessary to experience like love or anything like that.
I definitely agree that marriage, or not even marriage, but just finding love was more important than the actual marriage, the day that we had, which was amazing, but we didn't really need that day. I think marriage is important, but the love that goes along with it. It's not necessarily the wedding day that I needed to pursue in life. It was finding him and just having the love and developing our love.
I would agree with her. Marriage. Let me think here. With the marriage, our wedding day was pretty remarkable, and we took 7 years before we ended up getting married. And did our love change the day after marriage? No.
I don't think it's absolutely required. Certainly in human history it hasn't been, but as such. But it's a very beneficial thing. You see, because marriage is and family is a basic unit of human society. So that when two people get married, what do? My gosh, I just came from a wedding a couple of weeks ago. What? 3-day celebration. Why? We're celebrating their love and in gratitude for the gift they're giving to us, who love them and who are maybe part of their family or whatever. And so all of the world benefits from a healthy relationship like this. All of the world. It ripples out in so many ways.
By marriage, you mean legal, and that there's a legal, that society recognizes a relationship as legal. No, I don't think that that's necessary at all. I think, one could look at the historical antecedents as to why marriage evolved as a way of life. But I think what's most important is not that there be a legal commitment, but that there really be a personal commitment of honesty and self-honesty. And whether that doesn't have to be sanctified by a church or a synagogue or a mosque or by a government. I think it's something that's a commitment people make. And the commitment I would make to you if I were in a relationship with you would really be a commitment to myself that, again, I would be as selfless as possible. Because if I'm as selfless as possible with you, then I'll be loving, I'll be caring, I'll be faithful, I'll be dedicated, I'll be sensitive to you. So that you can't legislate that by a piece of paper. You know, I think that's the mistake society has always labored under, that you could kind of legislate people by laws or customs or mores or morality, which end up being very, very destructive and self-destructive.
From our brief discussion on marriage, it can be argued that, like most things, marriage is something we do here in the world. It is a behavior. It may serve us legally, but when it comes to love, some couples may choose marriage, some may not. Apparently, to be selfless within any relationship does not need the sanctity of the church or the permission of the government. Love can begin to be seen as more of an attitude than a piece of paper. It's interesting to consider that, like marriage, sex too is a behavior that comes with sacred connotations, and its influence on relationships should not be ignored. Like passion, one's sexual attraction for another can diminish over time, and understanding the connection between love and sexual wanting may deepen our perspective on this issue.
I think sex plays an important role in a relationship, in that it is an area in which we can express so many different sentiments and communicate tenderness and love and fondness for the other. You know, if we only use sex for one sole purpose, that's a good way to make it boring, right? But if we use it one night because we had a fight if one night we use it again after a fight to reconnect with our spouse and we feel like getting closer again, great. Or sometimes it can just be about relieving tension and wanting to sleep better.
I think that does change over time. You get used to each other. We were just talking about this. We get used to hearing each other burp and fart and whatever, and you know, over time that becomes less sexual, or you get to know each other in depth physically. So something new has always seemed so, you know, he calls it shiny. I like shiny things.
Like shiny things, yeah, and the concept of grass is always greener on the other side. You know, after a while, you've been together for a long period of time. It's like you get up, you go to work, you do the day in, day out things. All of a sudden, someone fresh comes along. You don't see that side. It's just all the excitement of the moment.
There's a lot of attractive women out there, but that's the way it is, you know. And I am extremely happy for what I have, and fortunate to have Nikki in my life. And I mean, she can attest. I'm sure she thinks there's many attractive men out there as well, and that's fine. That's human nature. But
yeah, but that's not our relationship. It's not based on, you know, there is a lot of attractive people out there, but we have more than an attraction to each other. We have a friendship. And so if we see someone that's attractive, that's fine and that's life. But what we have at home and what we have together doesn't compare to this quick appearance of somebody. I mean, I'm sure, yes, I've seen attractive men, but I never would doubt our relationship. I would never say, oh, I want that because he's handsome. I mean, we're in this for the long haul, for sure. And I mean, every day we're going to run into, attractive people or different situations. But we're still going to come home to each other, and we're still going to have what we have, and it's going to even get better as we go. I think. I mean, it's been going up.
One of the biggest challenges in a long-term monogamous relationship is sustaining sexual satisfaction, and often dissatisfaction is a source of conflict in a couple, and can lead often to separation, unfortunately. We all come into a relationship wanting sex to remain interesting and wanting our partner to be attractive to us and wanting to have desire for that partner, but it's as if we don't really know how to do that. A lot of people end up in those traps. I think one of the common mistakes I think one of the common mistakes that a lot of couples end up doing is in the way they perceive sexual desire. Sexual desire is often perceived in our society as something that just kind of falls on us. You know, it's something that we have no power over. It's there or it isn't. And therefore, when it's not there, well then, you know, people don't really know what to do. They try all sorts of things. They'll get sexual gadgets or lingerie or things like that. But it might have a short-term impact on the situation, but long-term, those are pretty much quick fixes, and they don't necessarily bring on long-term sexual satisfaction.
No, things change, doesn't it? Well, yes, it's a reflection of, anything is a reflection of something, but it doesn't have to be anything bad. You know, often the sexual interest at first, the excitement is part of kind of having one's needs met again. And so part of having my needs met with you from an affection point of view is also having my sexual needs met. You know, it's new, it's exciting, you find me attractive, you find me exciting, you find me a good partner, etc., and vice versa. But afterwards, that's not enough because my inner need isn't being met. So it always has to be more. But when I realized that the purpose of the relationship, whether it's sexual or not, is to make me feel more whole inside, then it doesn't mean that the sexual interest necessarily changes, but the intensity will change probably because it's no longer being kind of flooded with this inner need. And then so the sexual relationship then could really express a kind of a common joining of one's inner wholeness rather than kind of grabbing from somebody else what you feel you need. And that's a big, big difference.
The ego's need to continually locate others who will find us attractive may explain the all-important marriage vow to forsake all others. For it is this vow that reminds couples that adultery will not be tolerated. Yet are love and human behavior to be controlled and regulated with rules and vows? Is this what love looks like?
Of course, adultery is all kinds of levels. Adultery is not simply sexual either. I mean, I think adultery can be committed by, without any sexual thing at all. It's a refusal to live out the commitment you made, okay, because of selfish reasons. Because of selfish reasons. Now, there's no question, of course, let's be realistic about it, that love can die. It can die. And the reasons for its death in a relationship, say for instance between spouses, are very complex. And all we can do, we can't get into the minds and hearts of the people involved. Can't do that. Nor should we try. We have no right to be there. All we can deal with is the exterior manifestations of something. So, or somebody who tells us that they've done this or do this or don't do this or whatever. If they let us into their mind and heart, even there we have to be very careful because sometimes people don't know their own mind and heart.
I guess I believe more in human nature. I believe that people are engineered inside to want to love more than one person. I know that obviously people get married. I know right now I'm not ready for marriage by no means. But I know that, I guess in terms of the rules, I'm not the jealous type, so, I mean, she could probably do whatever she wanted as long as she wasn't sleeping with someone. I guess that would probably set me over the edge.
In a further question, Corey was asked that if he had sex with another girl other than his girlfriend, would he love her less?
No. Yeah, I guess since you put it that way. No, me sleeping with someone else wouldn't change my feelings towards anyone. But I guess it's different when it's done to you, when it's more of taking than giving. But I guess if she were open about it, and if she said something about it beforehand, then maybe we could talk about it. But if it was just something that was done, without my knowledge, then yeah, that'd be a problem.
Physical attraction and loving someone are two very distinct things. I mean, you can love someone and be attracted to them physically, but not, and vice versa. Being physically attracted to others while being in a loving relationship is normal, and it's something that is part of being human. No one person can be the sole object of desire for another. No one has that power. There will always be other people on the street, colleagues, friends that will be appealing to us physically and for whom we'll feel a bit of a pull or a longing for. But what counts if you're in a monogamous relationship is what you do when you feel that feeling. You can go two ways. Either you invest it, you grab onto it, and you start making choices and acting in a certain way where you risk infidelity, you risk getting involved with that person, or you kind of just let it pass and see it as something pleasurable, a little, feeling, a little fun feeling that you had that day, and you let it go and you stay invested in the contract, I'll say, because I think monogamy and fidelity is a type of contract, and you remain invested in that.
I think certainly at the beginning you need rules. Just as to live in a society, we need rules. We all have to have a common understanding that we're going to stop the car at a red light and not proceed until it's green, et cetera. When parents are rearing children, there are certain rules. I think as people mature, both in their own individual lives as well as their relationship, then I think the need for the external rules diminishes because now one is being governed by one's own sense of what is right and what is caring and what is loving. Until that's reached, however, I think it is wise to have certain kinds of rules and disciplines. Otherwise, it's anarchy in a very negative sense.
If you find the right partner, you'll be able to do whatever and anything you want. And if you stop yourself from doing things, that means then you're not in the right partner.
Is there such a partner? One with whom you could do whatever you want and still be loved? This is not a discussion about one partner wanting to go shopping or to a ball game, but rather one that wants to have sex with someone else, otherwise known as an open relationship. Can such freedom be part of a loving relationship?
To have only one sexual partner for life is realistic. It's just it's very difficult to do. I think it's something that takes. Let me think. I think it's something that takes a commitment, which means choice, which means leaving other choices aside. We can't be monogamous and have all the advantages of monogamy, but at the same time have all the advantages of being free and single and being able to experience the thrills of a new partner and all that. It's part of life to have to make a choice and therefore leave the other choices. And I think that's where people have a hard time. That's where people fail, when they want it all, sort of thing. In the case of spouses who share partners, for instance, and like having threesomes or something like that, there's often in threesomes twosomes that are formed, where one partner feels kind of left out and the other two are connecting more, or there's more of a kinship between those two people, and so one feels left out or the third wheel, and again, this can create bad feelings and conflicts. And so it's again, something that, sure, you could look at it as a solution, but at the same time, it's difficult to manage. It's difficult to achieve in terms of having harmony in all this. And
well, I don't think that there's any right or wrong. I think in a situation like that, then I think that the primary couple, have to be honest with each other. And they have to work this out in a way which is loving to both people. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. I think if something's done in secret, I think it's almost impossible not to avoid guilt. It doesn't have to be 100% of the time, but almost always. So that I think if if there's a relationship between A and B, and A wants something more sexually out of the relationship, and can only get it from person C, but still A and B is still a primary relationship, then I think that issue ought to be talked about, however that is. And again, there's no right or wrong way of addressing that, except that the people ought to be honest. And that if love is truly expressed in a relationship, there's no sense of loss or deprivation or resentment. But it's never the behavior that's the issue.
If the behavior is never the issue, then what is the issue? Dr. Wapnick is suggesting that what we should be paying attention to is what is going on in our minds. Yet very few people actually consider the psychology of what they do. Most of us react from our gut, and few consider that their initial motivation to be in a relationship was to meet their ego needs. But if relationships are a tool we use to get what we want, and specifically speaking, what we want and seem to need is love, then our approach to getting love has an underlying selfish tone. Is this what it means to relate to another?
You see, we have different needs. Some people need to be needed. And of course, everybody needs to be the three things that I've said so many times to people. Everybody wants to be needed, wanted, and loved. Those three: needed, wanted, and loved. They're three different things, but they're very much united. And so basically, that's what we're looking for, those three things. We want to be needed, we want to be wanted, and cherished, loved.
Relationship, I think, basically has to be understood through understanding what projection is. It's impossible, I think, to relate to another person as that person truly is. Almost always we relate to somebody else through our own projections. There's a line that says projection makes perception. And that we first have a concept of ourselves, some kind of neediness which we experience within, and that dominates the way we perceive the world around us. It was Freud who really put a projection on the map over 100 years ago. And I think that he brilliantly helped us understand how projection works. So what we see outside really comes from what we first see within ourselves. So that when I meet somebody, it's really not that person that I'm relating to. I'm really coming to that person through my own neediness. What is it I want from you? Whether it's the fact that I need an enemy, I need a scapegoat, so I'll project all kinds of unresolved issues of myself onto you, or somebody that I think will give me what I want, give me the love that I want, the physical comfort that I want, the physical pleasure I want, the financial backing that I want, the support I want, the attention I want.
The psychology of relating to another through the projection of neediness sheds an even darker cloud over human relationships. Needing from another person such things as love, financial backing, attention, or physical pleasure is a lot to ask for, and many, if they knew it, would feel the pressure of having the responsibility to provide such requirements to their partner. Nevertheless, it is sometimes accepted to have expectations from a spouse, be it flowers, a daily phone call, or even sex. And if we don't get what we want, our egos become threatened.
The example is, you've been seeing someone for months now. Sex has been very frequent. Sex has been great, very intense. And then one night, one of the spouses says, well, I don't feel like it tonight. I'm working tomorrow. Whereas before, they would have just said, let's do it. I don't care. I'll be tired. Now, if at the same moment, that moment where that person says, no, sorry, I want to sleep, I have a meeting tomorrow morning, if that other person sees this as normal, seeing this as, well, I think we're getting out of that first passion phase of the relationship. It has to end sometime. We just need to adapt. This is normal. This is not about me. She needs to sleep or he needs to sleep. It doesn't personalize this. It doesn't make a big deal about it. They'll probably be okay the next day.
In the example given by our sexologist, it is the way the individual interprets their partner's refusal to have sex that may determine if there will be a conflict or not. Whatever the reason, when a partner refuses us, it does not have to be considered as a sign that they don't care. They could, in fact, be tired. It is our inner neediness, our ego, that demands that our partners, or anyone for that matter, behave a certain way in order for us to feel loved. And it is this that likely causes so many problems. But is there an intrinsic value that exists within relationships that would somehow justify all this effort? Can the dynamics of projection and inner neediness be understood so that relationships are viewed less tragically?
I think frequently, even though they seem to start pretty wonderfully, they end up pretty tragically very, very often. And I think that the value of a relationship is that it really becomes like a classroom for the healing of ourselves. If we follow along the dynamic of projection that I just mentioned, the idea of projection is that there's something inside of me I'm not aware of. And one of the things Freud also taught is that projection always follows repression, that there's something in me that I find intolerable, too horrific to even kind of deal with. So I repress it, meaning I'm unaware of it. And the second step in that sequence is that I then try to get rid of it. So I not only make believe I don't have it, but then I say, I'm not the one who has it, you have it. So that what I project onto you is something that's unconscious in me. And if it's unconscious, I can't heal it. So that the value of a relationship then is that it brings to the surface all these unconscious conflicts that we're not aware of, which gives us another opportunity to forgive it, or to let it go. So that if I monitor what it is I'm feeling about you, that will give me a clue as to what it is I'm not really looking at in myself. So whatever it is that I'm objecting to in you and judging in you, it doesn't have to be the specific things as such, but the meaning of what it is I'm accusing you of. That'll give me a pretty good self-portrait, that there's something in myself. I don't have to approve of what you do, but I don't have to attack you for it.
What is now confirmed is that the nature of our relationships, whether they be ego-oriented or selfless, are really determined by what is going on in the mind. Indeed, our behavior simply mirrors our mindset. It will serve us to understand that the form of our relationships in the world will not only look different, but can serve as indicators of what we are feeling.
We know that what is happening in the mind counts way more than what is happening in terms of stimulation, sensations. It counts, but you could stimulate someone to death, but if they're not there, if they're perceiving the encounter in a negative way, either if they're feeling shameful about sex, if they're feeling guilty, if they feel resentment towards their partner, that means that the meaning for them that sexual encounter takes on will definitely affect their sexual functioning. So you might have a bit of a physical reaction, but that's going to take over and they're not going to reach those thresholds, and they might have erectile problems, or they might have not reach orgasm, and I think that's not such a bad thing, because that can be a good barometer for relationships. It can be kind of like a warning system saying, something's going on, my erection, my penis is telling me something. Am I angry at my spouse? Is there something that I've left unsaid? Am I having a hard time at work? It could be something very personal. I just got fired and I'm not feeling very good about myself. But most of it is happening between our two ears.
I think that there are different forms, but there's one love. I think that the love I'm speaking about is the love that's within everyone's mind. Again, that we just refer to as the love of God or the love of our source, which means it's the love that transcends everything in this world, everything material, everything that's separated. So it's a love really that can be equated with a sense of oneness. The mystics refer to sometimes having an experience of a oneness that's non-differentiated, just a sense of a universal wholeness. So I think that that's one. But since we live here in this world as bodies, then that love will come out in many different forms. So the love that I feel for my parents or my children will be different for the love for my wife or a close friend or a teacher that I may admire. that the form is different. The fact that I don't have your family over for Christmas, but I have my family over for Christmas, doesn't mean I don't love your family or that I don't like them. It just means that that's not part of my classroom. But the love would still be the same. So that the forms are different, but the source is one.
The idea that the various forms of love expressed in the world originate from one source is compelling. Yet in spite of that, some forms of love that are expressed in this world are subject to prejudice and judgment. In many circles, the love between gay couples is often interpreted as unequal. Nonetheless, do heterosexual couples have a moral monopoly as it corresponds to the love of God that is within our mind?
Well, I think that's obvious. That's absurd. I mean, I think nobody has a monopoly of love. And if we're talking about this inner love, this love of God being expressed not only between people, but between animals and between people and animals and between people and plants, then one's sexual gender or sexual preference is totally irrelevant. I mean, I think that's absurd. Again, it's confusing the body with the mind. And love is never in the body. Love is only in the mind. That then gets reflected in the body. But you can't judge the form. I mean, I think, again, when churches do that, or governments do that, or individuals do that, well, they do it in terms of sexuality, or race, or religion, or national origin. It has absolutely nothing to do with what they're talking about. It has to do with a way of projecting one's own hatred of oneself. And there's something in me that I judge as abysmally hateful and sinful. And rather than look at it myself, I say, it's homosexuals, or it's blacks, or it's Indians, or it's Jews, or it's Americans, or it's Iranians, or it's the terrorists, or whatever it is. It has nothing ever to do with that. Which is why there'll always be prejudice until this inner conflict is resolved.
Well, of course, our church teaches, and I agree with the teaching, I want you to know, that the manifestation of homosexual love, because of its nature, is not in the ordinary order of things, is therefore to be avoided, just as, for instance, a friendship relationship between two people, or heterosexual or not, shouldn't have its outcome in sexual relationships. It should be not there. Now, yeah, you're talking about the rules, and that's one of them. But again, it's a question of commitment. I think certainly, I mean, I can say without equivocation that a strong relationship between two men or two women is extremely possible and can be very life-giving indeed.
It is comforting to accept that regardless of what a relationship might look like in form, the presence of love can still be experienced. Love is never in the body. Love is only in the mind that then gets reflected here in the world. Explaining how the mind does this and why it happens is hard to do.
I think it'd be like the law of gravity. You say, where's the law of gravity come from? That's just how things are on planet Earth. I think the way things are on planet mind, the mind that we have, is that whatever is in that mind will be projected. I think that's just a given. It's like a psychological axiom, that whatever it is I harbor within myself, I will project. But that also works in a positive way, that if there's love within, then that will be projected too. And one can use like a different word for it. We could use like the word extend for that. But that whatever is in my mind must be projected or extended. And if it's self-hate and fear, then that's what I project onto you. And if it's love and a sense of a universal wholeness and oneness, then that's what I'll extend.
Our quest into a better understanding of love and relationships has been revealing, for we have discovered that love is not in the person next to us, but in our mind. Seeking love in another is really an attempt to satisfy our ego needs and project our inner conflicts. But the good news is that love, albeit abstract and hard to understand, can be emulated here in the world. If we get it right, our lives can indeed have the meaning and love we hoped for, yet the love we hoped for may not completely represent the peace of God, for that is a feeling beyond the scope of human experience.
I think that's a thing of what St. Paul spoke about, the peace that passes understanding. It's a peace that transcends anything in this world, that's unshaken by what happens externally. That's what love really is. That the way we would want God to love us, the way God does love us, but the way we would have to imagine it, is that no matter what we do, His love doesn't change. There's a line in A Course in Miracles that says, and now one note in heaven's song was missed. That because of whatever we thought we did or accused ourselves of doing, heaven's song of love didn't change. And so the feelings associated with that kind of love is a peace that's unshakable. That doesn't kind of blow with the wind. That, I love you this day because you're good to me, but if you got my birthday or you didn't call me or you didn't do this or that, and so I don't love you. That's not love, and that's not peace.
The road to peace has now been mapped, and it begins with a decision to work on ourselves. And it is this individual choice that provides the bridge for love to extend to those around us. To be sure, life is short, and there is little doubt that relationships will supply us the impetus to grow and provide us a very important classroom.
This is what makes me happy. My friendship, my marriage, and my family.
If in 50 years to look back on our relationship, I'd like to still be smiling, laughing, being happy, but I would still like our story to keep going. It kind of related to the never-ending story, I guess you could say, of our life, and each day is a new exciting page or chapter in our life, and both positive and negatives that we're going to experience, and I hope we come out of each experience in each situation, smiling, holding hands, being together, and like I said, a never-ending story. Hopefully, when things do come to an end, that it continues, and which I'm sure it will. So, yeah, it's an amazing journey.
Yes, love's journey by way of the human relationship is amazing. But what is more amazing is that in the end, this journey teaches us to ultimately recognize who we really are.
I am God in a manifestation of God's love, better put. People would think that was bad news. I'm not identified with God, of course, except in a certain way.
There's a line in A Course in Miracles that says, the kingdom of heaven is not within you, the kingdom of heaven is you. And that we're all part of that kingdom, whatever religious language one wants to couch that in. So that I think that what gives value to one's life is a recognition that my life is all about coming to peace within myself. And if I could really be peaceful within and feel whole within, then inevitably I'll be a better husband, I'll be a better son, I'll be a better psychologist, I'll be a better citizen, I'll be a better everything. I'll be more loving, I'll be kinder, I'll be more forgiving, I'll be effective in the world, I'll be this, I'll be that. None of which is possible if it doesn't start within. So that one sees one's life not as amassing greater toys externally, whether the toys are relationships or objects or prestige or status, but one gaining this inner peace and working on one's own conflicts and unhealed thoughts. And that's what would make everyone's life meaningful.